I had just finished building my Mortenax Blade when I realized, wait, is he comparable to Tribbie at E0S0? So I figured we should test out their performance and stack them against each other to settle once and for all who is king and who is the jester. Let's see who comes out on top.
Alright, the combatants are set, and we've run the data through all possibilities.
It's time for a death battle!
We are going to be testing out Mortenax Blade and Tribbie today. I figured we would do it on maybe a few different teams. We'll start out with the Herta team, and then after that, we'll just see who is reasonably usable with Mortenax Blade. I mean, you could honestly use them on like any team, and it would be a good idea. Especially if you want to run Sustainless. Like, he's a debuffer, so he works with a lot of characters. So we'll see what the differences are with their buffs or debuffs, and we will have to wait and see which of the two ends up better. One thing I do want to preface, I'll show relics real quick. My blade is definitely spec'd better than my Tribbie. 100%. So like we've got a 2 out of 4 there, a... what was it? Well, this is a 1, but we can reroll that later. 3 out of 4. 1 out of 4. 2. And then a 4 out of 4. So Tribbie, we're gonna borrow some relics because honestly my Tribbie's relics are not that good from the get-go. Like, okay, this is 2 out of 4 here, that's fine. 3 out of 4 here is good. This is the one I had to borrow from Caceres because I just have I have re-rolled so many times to get a better chess piece, but it just refuses to give me something good, so we'll have to borrow Caceres today. I should probably re-roll this too, actually. I have so many re-rolls I need to do. And then I guess we'll have to rock that 1 out of 4. So this is a 0 out of 4, so like, just full warning, these aren't the best relics ever, but you know, we'll have to work with what we got. So that's what we got. I figure we'll do some more easy testing because of these relics being so bad, so we'll actually play the 3rd stage of Pure Fiction instead of our normal testing grounds, which would be like, you know, the hardest node for each stage. Oh, another thing, both Tribbie and Blade are not maxed out on their skills. Both of them have max of level 8s because I want to save trace materials for the Fate collab, so just keep that in mind. But both of them will be equal with traces and all that stuff. Okay, I suppose I'll explain how he works a little bit real quick. So first off, before he is allowed to ult, he can only use his basic attack. Once he ults, he unlocks his skill and he can use it. It uses HP to use. Don't know why I can't spit that out. But once he gets out his ult, his kit starts coming to fruition. And then he has 2 ults actually. So you have one to get into this domain that he does. It's called the zone technically, but I call it domain. Basically the same thing. So your end goal is you want to get Blade into his zone or domain, whatever, and then you want to keep him in there as long as possible. It does have a timer. Like there's a, you guys will see soon. When we get into his domain, we will see a countdown timer for it expiring. So if you can keep refreshing it, then you know, all the better. But your goal is to stay in there as long as you possibly can. So his skill, what that does is it does damage and consumes HP of Blade, and then he will debuff the enemies with the skill. And then that count 0 out of 9 that you guys will see, he has to be in his domain for that to start working. But what it'll do, once it hits 9, he'll start using his skill for free. So if every time it hits a 9, he'll use it for free. I believe every time a teammate does an attack, it will give one of those counts. And then we'll explain all of his debuffs as we get through it, but just, he's basically a debuffer, but he can be a main DPS given enough love and support. But for most people, how they're going to use him, he's going to be used as like a debuffer, so it just makes the most sense to just use him lower cost than not. Like, his cone is good, but I wouldn't necessarily recommend pulling it right now. I'd rather you guys pull for Eidolons for him because they seem more potent. Plus you have tutorials, so, you know, you'll be good there. Alright. Let's get into it. So we'll just compare the end scores for both of them, and then we'll see what ends up happening. Herta's turn. Another thing to note, he does have overcap for, much like Saber, he has extra energy he can store once you're past his initial requirement to use his ult, so just keep that in mind as well. So on top of that, there is reason to use an energy regen rope, because we don't have his ult yet. It's taken a little bit. Mine is also kind of slow, not gonna lie. Thank you. And you're a dickhead. Him not having his ult up is very much a big concern. Normally I gotta throw with the punches, but it's supposed to be a Blade showcase. We haven't even got him to his ult yet. Okay, so I want... Nope, that's not what I clicked on. Okay. So there we go, there's his ult. Okay, so now that he's in his ult, we'll say what it does. So what it does, once Balefire Bind, that's his debuff, once it's applied to all enemies, it reduces their defense and increases the damage that they receive. It depends on the level, but you know, I think it's 30 and 50 is what I'm thinking, but just keep that in mind. And then he consumes part of his health to deploy his domain, and then when he is in this domain, he unlocks the ability to use his skill using those 9 charges that I was talking about. Also during that state, he gets 20% increased crit rate and more crit damage. And then his basic attack gets enhanced, and then he is allowed to use a skill, like I said, and then he gets a new ultimate, which is a second one. Another thing to note, if he happens to drop below his, 1 HP, he will not be knocked down, it'll just kick him out of the domain. But that's technically not a good thing, because you guys are seeing he doesn't really have much of a kit outside of being in this first domain. And then he does heal when he gets out of it. Or if he gets knocked out of it. And then, like I said, this Infinite Fury thing does have a state on the... we'll call it the turn timeline. But he has to be using his HP. Let's see if we can't. So right here. This thing. So once you see this icon, you will know that you are on a time limit. So one other thing, once you get his E1, or if that's something you guys want to do, it pushes it back further, so you get a longer amount of time in here. And you guys are seeing, as Anaxa and the team is attacking, he is getting more stacks for this. I believe him getting hit counts as well, but we have yet to get hit in this version, so let's hit you here because Yika's coming up. I wonder, does a hawk count here? No, it doesn't. Yeah, so him getting hit does give him charge as well. So it's not attacking 9 times, getting hit counts as well. And then once we get to that 9 out of 9, we'll be popping a skill for free with him, and then the countdown will just keep refreshing itself. Hopefully we get enough damage here so we can save blades for next. So another thing, right here. Now Balefire Bind is down on the enemy, so all that debuff. Good stuff. Yeah, so in our case, because he's level 8 for his skills, it's 27.5% defense, and then damage increased is taken by... What? What did I just say? Damage taken is increased by 45%, jeez. So the name of the game with him is just trying to get him into his domain and then spamming his skill as much as possible, as well as just doing his ult, or his second ult. Because his second ult is actually the it deals damage. No, I think it's just damage, but he has a whole energy regen gimmick that I can get into a little bit later once we can put everything on the board. Basically, once he overflows energy, he like very much like Saber, he gives it back to himself. So now we can use our skill right here. We'll do 1 times here just so I can see the nice animation. We use the ult now. This is the second ult. It also applies Balefire Bind, it looks like, which is good. My bad. That was kind of weird. I had to mute for a second. We'll just use Herta's ult here. Hopefully we won't need to do anything else. Yep, nice. Okay, so we'll do it again. So very much like all the other debuffers in this game, you're gonna want to use his kit first before attacking. It just makes sense. So as you guys see, his ult actually does apply Balefire Bind, which is good. Seems like quite a potent debuff as well. Like it seems like it does quite a bit. And then we'll see how many cycles we have left by the time we're done. Yeah, so now he's outside of his ult state, which is a bit unfortunate, but you guys are seeing he got energy back from his kit. Dude, he's so close. 3? Is there ever going to check outside of... Oh, you can. I'm at 157 right there. I'm going to start using that. I did not know that. That's good. How close is she? 2. That's crazy. Whatever, it's fine. I'll try to remember the amount of cycles that we have by the time we're done. Nice. Okay, now we'll use her to ult. Wait, should I have not? You don't have Balefire on you, do you? Oh, you do, never mind. Okay, whatever. Then we're fine! So obviously we're gonna be 40k'ing. I just gotta try and figure out how many cycles we'll have left for each thing. Each fight, I mean. Here's our skill. Okay, so round about 1 cycle left. Got it. Alright, let's put on Tribbie into the team and then we'll see what we can do. Now, one difference, I guess, between these two is you can start out with Tribbie's skill. You can't do that with Blade because his is an attack. His technique, I mean. Okay, let's put their zone down now. Or domain, whatever. I know I keep switching what I'm calling it, but... Okay, so Tribbie... Her skill's the res pen. which is quite good, actually. And then Tribbie Zone, all enemies damage taken is increased, and then all allies deal additional damage when attacking enemies. So both are really good buffs, or debuffs, respectively, but I guess the only difference, you don't have to mark the enemies with Tribbie like you do on Blade. Tribbie's is just active. But that's kind of just the debuff versus the buff thing with this game. Having to mark an enemy is not always the best thing for... or debuff the enemy is not always the best thing. Sometimes you just prefer buffs. That way you don't have to worry about, you know, applying the buffs in the first place. Or debuffs. Bleh. Yeah, that figures. Oh man, I love energy. I love these guys taking so much of my energy away. It's awesome. I kind of feel like I'm making better time with Tribbie, which is kind of funny actually. Honestly, what it could be is that Tribbie might just be better for pure fiction, potentially, and then Blade will be better everywhere else when there's, you know, the enemies are tanky as hell and they don't die in 2 hits. Because needing to hit the enemy, like I said, is not always the best thing for you. Whereas Tribbie just has these buffs active, you don't have to ask for them, they're just there. I guess we also have DDD with Tribbie as well, so we're getting effectively more turns, which does matter. I'm just gonna use this for the action advance. Yeah, see, we got an axe forward because of that. I just feel like I'm making better time. Could also just be that I'm not playing Blade correctly or we got unlucky, but these things do happen. I do think it's because you don't have to hit the enemies with Tribbie though, that's my thinking. Sometimes it matters. Honestly, this could just be this could just be DDD doing everything. I'm not gonna lie, it's possible. Well, we'll see where we end. Maybe Blade is better. I don't know. Look, we're pretty close to the same time frame. I guess we'll start with an axe, then we'll do Herta. Honestly, I haven't used Herta in a little while because I don't know, man. I'm not really happy with her performance outside of Perfection right now, which, you know, she's E0S0, so maybe not the best situation for her, but I'm still not super happy with her performance. I gave her some pretty damn good relics too, so... Honestly, it could just be an Axe's fault too. Maybe an Axe is just kind of a... Maybe I kind of give an Axe too much fire going on. Anyway, I am curious to know how a sustainless run would go, so let's see if this is worth showing or not. Alright, let's see if dot sustainless is actually a good idea here or not. Because I'm not gonna lie, I'm definitely curious. Yep, do this. I should have put Blade in slot 3 or 2. I don't know what I was doing there. That was a bit unintelligent of me. Let's pop the ult. My dot team's still not great, but I did, I kind of want to use them. I figure it'd be pretty cool. Okay, hopefully... I hope you're the happy one. Alright, that's fine. They can't keep up! Oh, come on. No! Come on, man. I'm right there. Please hit Blade. Or Perish. That works too. Alright, that works. I'll take it. It hasn't even done anything yet. No, I should have used Tysalin's ult and then her skill. Whatever, it's fine. This is not so difficult a stage that I need to worry about it. I do really want to get this dot team up and running, man. Their relics are just not good. Well, Tysalin's are good, but she's like the only one who has even decent relics. Which is unfortunate, because I want to start using them in endgame and see what we can handle. Yeah. Honestly, let's go next stage. I guess I could start using dot for pure friction. I didn't even think about this as an option, but they are technically AoE. Cool. I mean, that's another team I can use. Nice. And they need to be relicked up, though. There it is. Yeah, Blade's not doing as much this time, but like, I'm gonna be honest, I don't really think it matters. I think it's fine. We low-key don't need to use Hycelin's skill here, but you all, I need to know if they're all marked. They are. We'll go for a basic then. Okay, so this is, okay, so that's the difference. The only difference between the basic attack is that when you hit an enemy, instead of it just dealing the damage, it also taunts them. So right here, if we look at this, yeah. So that means that so that's another good thing about sustainless runs now that I'm thinking about it is you could have him technically just be SP positive and just attack and taunt the big target, and then you just have them only attack Blade, and then Blade's the only one who has the, you know, the fire on him, or the heat rather, which is actually really good. I like that. I like that it opens up more sustainless options. It's very cool when they do stuff like that. I'm just gonna use a... yeah, I need a basic. Yep. There's that skill. I guess I could save the ult for something else later, but it's fine. I will say one thing, I love Blade's animations, they look really good. Dang! 1.5 mil? I mean, I know this is a stage 11 and not a stage 12, but it's still a lot of damage for a support character, technically. I'm not gonna lie though, I don't know. I kind of want to pull Kafka's Cone now because tutorial is only usable in one character, and I feel like Blade needs it more than Kafka does, so that's a consideration I have to make later. We'll do it for the energy. Yeah, that E1's definitely gonna matter way more than his Cone will. Cone's nice though, not gonna lie. Definitely a nice thing. Let's do a basic here just for the energy. Yeah. Okay, we got this. I mean, honestly, that was pretty fun. I'm quite pleased with that. Okay, so we'll do Tribbie with the same situation, and then we'll compare the clear times. I mean, it's like tentative, I guess, because there's no AV being shown, but I mean, I imagine Mortenax Blade is mainly designed to be used in AoE content anyway, and guess what pure friction is? AoE content, so yeah. Nice. Do that. That works. Let's get the domain out. Get it on their board. Why not? No reason to wait. I don't know if this is worth ulting. Let me... feel like this. Then we'll use Kafka ult, because there's way too many of these energy bastards on the board. I want to take some of them out. That works. Nice. Interesting. So I guess one thing to note is that Blade is not as fast. I mean, okay, that's another thing. My Blade is not very fast. I don't know the speed of my Tribbie. I need to check that after, but at least out the gate, it seems like Tribbie has more of an impact, whereas Blade seems to have more impact from longer fights, which is interesting. At least so far. Which I think is interesting. Like Tribbie, you get to get her value immediately. Blade, you might have to wait a little bit, which... honestly, kind of a bit like Cyrene, because Cyrene is a very backloaded character, which is fine, but it does end up being a concern when you want to clear fast. Like, this game wants you to clear quickly as you can. If you can clear as fast as you possibly can, the game wants you to do it. Yep. We'll just use Swan ult, why not? Get this to the next stage faster, or wave. Dang, it did a lot of damage. Let's use the basic. We'll reapply the zone. Why do I keep switching between zone and domain? I do not know. Do not ask me. They mean the same thing in my head. Maybe that's why. Yeah, just basic. Yeah, let's do it for the detonation. Would have preferred she hit the big enemy with that, but that's fine. I mean, we didn't get hit at all until right now. I think that's pretty good. Let's just do it for the action advance. Nice, we got the whole team on the board before that cycle ends. That's good. It seems like the clear times on both of these two are pretty comparable so far, though, which is very interesting to note. I do think some teams, though, Blade is going to be a direct upgrade, if not side grade, to whoever else you might want to use otherwise. Like, I think... I don't know, maybe we'll see what the cycles say at the end, right? But it does seem like they're pretty comparable, which is actually good in Tribbie's case. That means that she didn't get power crept truly. Alright, pop that ult. Nice. I'm actually gonna just pop the ult here. Alright, can we not have Swan fall, please? That would be very unfortunate. Well, we have... okay, yeah, we're good. I mean... both of them are clearing, which is good. Okay, so, real quick. I thought that we had everything equalized with Blade and Tribbie, but for some reason, I guess I got this to level 9 at some point. I don't know when that happened, but... everything is not 888 like I had thought. It's 889. It still doesn't matter too much though. They're still basically equal. Like if I was to up this to a 9, it wouldn't really matter too much. Because Balefire Bind is like a double whammy. So if anything, that might help out Blade if I jump his ult up 1. So I just wanted to mention that. So it's not like equal 1-to-1 for the whole thing, but I guess you guys can see it in the way where Blade has better relics, but Tribbie had a higher skill level, so they're a quote unquote more on an equal playing field. So I just wanted to mention that real quick. But yeah, wanted to show that. Now we will directly compare the amp numbers for each of our two contenders. First up is our sexy beast of a man, Mortenax Blade. When you activate his zone, he gives all allies 50% damage up. His debuff, Balefire Bind, which is applied to an enemy when they are hit while his zone is up, reduces enemy defense by 30% and increases their damage received by 50% for 2 turns. Now for our little cutie patootie, the Tribster. When her zone is active, enemy damage received is increased by 33%, and her buff, called Numinosity, increases all allies' res pen by 26.4% for 3 turns. So, who is the winner? I hold the belief that at E0S0, both are actually fairly comparable, and it is, honestly, a bit difficult to just give a crown to one of them as the winner. However, I do have this to say. I think that in short fights, Tribbie is the winner. She can have all of her buffs up extremely quickly, and you don't need to hit an enemy before you can start dealing a boatload of damage to them, which is not the case with Blade. However, in longer fights, or harder content like Anomaly Arbitration, I do believe that Mortenax Blade actually does have the edge here. He is able to just deal more damage than Tribbie, and since he often has the attention of the enemies, he can take most of the punishment and help protect your party better than Tribbie could otherwise do. So, who wins? Technically, you do. If you haven't picked up Blade yet and are saving for the Fate collab or Himiko Nova, you honestly aren't required to have Blade just yet. While he is the best option for the Gilgamesh and Saber team that's coming up, at E0S0, you can honestly slot Tribbie in perfectly fine, so do not feel pressured to pick him up yet if you are on the edge. Both will treat you very well for this team. Thank you all so much for watching. I see you all supporting the recent videos, and I truly appreciate any and all forms of support, be it a like, taking a moment to comment, or maybe even subscribing so we can hit that huge milestone that I have in this brain of 1,000 subscribers. I hope to see you all in more of my content soon, and I am trying to actually figure out how to best format everything so that you all can get the most value from these videos. Hope to see you in another one very, very soon. Laters.